Now, daughters, first I must inform Mother Miranda. But later, well, there will be enough for everyone. Udama!
Hey, wait.
Oh, be careful what you wish for, Ethan Winters.
Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm bringing you another interview today, and I'm your host, as usual, Sterling Silver, and I have the wonderful, wonderful Maggie Robertson with me, who plays Lady Dimitrescu. I'm sure you've heard all kinds of pronunciations of that name over.
You're so close. Like A for effort, so close. Dimitrescu.
Yes, you got to have that.
And I don't know why I have to like Dimitrescu.
It's the Shakespearean nature to it, right? It's
Totally, yeah.
just rolls out. But how have you been, Maggie? What's life been like after all this craziness?
Oh man, it's been totally insane. It's been wild. What a crazy ride I've been on. The whole experience is just so completely surreal and beyond anything I ever could have imagined it could be. But it's really wonderful. It's so exciting to now finally be able to talk about the game, A, and B, interact with the fans. That's the part that is kind of still the most mind-blowing to me and the most special, the fact that this game has a global reach. So I'm getting messages from people all across the world about how this game and this character have impacted them and changed their lives. And it really does mean the world to me to hear those, to receive those messages. It's so special. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here and to have been a part of this game at all. And it's all very surreal.
Well, you haven't even gotten to the really surreal thing of like seeing somebody in person, like cosplay your character, or like doing conventions and stuff. Like, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like.
I know, what a weird time we've been living in, but hopefully, hey, you just got vaccinated today, so hopefully we're on the up and up of seeing the light at the end of that tunnel, and we can get back to Comic-Cons and all that jazz. The Comic-Cons, you're right, will be totally surreal for me because I'm a nerd. Say hi to baby Grogu. So I'm a huge nerd myself. I've been to Comic-Cons as a audience member, fan, participant, like, and now to be on the other side of that table will be definitely surreal and weird, but wonderful.
Yeah, I have no doubt it'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see everyone's cosplays in real life. That's the thing I'm the most excited about. So if you don't come up to me, you best believe I'm gonna come up to you, tap you on the shoulder, and be like, "Ha! Surprise, Lady D! I love your cosplay."
That'd be the one person be like who doesn't know like who you are and like who, the voice and the person behind the character. They'd be like, who are you? Like,
who are you? You're blonde. You're not Lady D. Who are you?
Why are you tapping on my shoulder?
Yeah.
I know you have a very long history of classical acting behind you. How did that really affect your experience or help you with doing Lady D? Because the four lords in Resident Evil Village are all like very, very Shakespearean.
They so are. And it's funny, I get asked this question a lot about how different they are, but you're right in that there's actually, I find a lot of similarities between my background doing Shakespeare and the work that I did on Village, because these characters are very Shakespearean. Shakespeare operates in these really heightened spaces where everything is life and death. The stakes are super high, and you get to explore all of the different extremes of humanity. And that, I feel, is certainly the case in Resident Evil and a lot of like horror, fantasy, sci-fi franchises as well. That's part of why those genres are so fun, because they are heightened. The stakes are super high. You do get to go to all of these extremes. And especially in the case of Lady D as well, the language that she's using, Capcom just handed me gold with all of these lines because her language is outstanding. The writing is amazing. And so for me, that was again fun, because part of the fun with Shakespeare is this play with language and sound and And so I pulled a lot of that background into my work for Lady D to prep all of that as well. Yeah.
Did you feel a little robbed when Michelle got that scene of holding Ethan's heart like above her head in that very like dramatic moment? It's like the most Shakespearean thing in video games. It's insane.
Oh man. I mean, you know what? If anyone else could have that moment, I'd want it to be Michelle. So I'm happy to give her that. But like, I didn't get shortchanged at all. Let's remember that I got to like throw a desk
That's
and
very true.
do all this other crazy stuff. So I feel very happy with what I got to do.
I know that you guys like had no idea what you were kind of going into or auditioning for. How did you go into that like feeling confident? I'd be a complete mess.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. I think sometimes it's easier when you don't know. So I
Okay.
wasn't aware that I was auditioning for anything big whatsoever, which meant
Mhm.
that I could come into it and not feel as nervous because the stakes weren't as high. So I was able to just focus on doing my job, which is being an actor and developing and creating a character to the best of my ability.
Mhm.
And I think in general, that's what you have to do when you audition anyway. You can't be so focused on the end result, because ultimately whether or not you get cast is completely out of your hands. So all you can do as an actor is focus on bringing your best self to the work, laying it all out on the table, and then you let it go. So in terms of prep, in terms of doing my job, creating a character, analyzing a scene, breaking it down, that's all stuff that I already knew how to do. So I was able to come into it at least confident that I knew what I was doing as an actor, that I knew how to do my job. And then whether or not I booked the role is a whole nother conversation, completely out of my hands.
Mhm. Did you did you have that kind of moment when you were piecing together the material? Because I know Michelle told me that you guys went into even the table read not knowing what it was. Um, did you have that moment after where it's like, oh damn, like this is Resident Evil?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Michelle's absolutely right. I too went in clueless to the table read, where I just thought I had booked some voiceover job. And
Mhm.
then it wasn't until the table read that I started to figure out that this might actually be a big deal, because there's just this excitement in the air. You could feel that there was an energy about in the space and something was happening here. So then after the table read, I went home, and we hadn't even received our paperwork or our scripts before the table read. So there was nothing for me to base any information off of. So only once I got done with the table read was I able to go home and then furiously research based on context clues what game I was in. But it was really, I mean, it was super exciting. I'm not a gamer myself, so I had never played previous Resident Evil games, but the
Mhm.
franchise is massive. And even I had heard of this franchise. So I knew that it was a big deal. And I was starting to develop an awareness of the scope and the magnitude of what this project could mean for me. Of course, it completely blew any and all expectations I had for it way out of the water.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Well, like you said, that you weren't a big gamer. Like, how did you research for a role like this?
Well, again, I think you have to look at exactly what is in front of you. And that was part of perhaps a benefit to not really knowing and having a clear picture of what Resident Evil was, is, and should be in my head. I was going into it kind of blind, so that I was able to just look at what was in front of me and think about the script that I have and where Resident Evil was right now and where it was moving forward. So I just focused on me, I guess, is the thing, because you can't get too wrapped up in the big picture. You just have to complete your job to the best of your ability.
Mhm.
So I just was looking at the character and trying to figure out how to portray her to the best of my ability and create a really interesting and dynamic character.
Well, it sounds like, once you figured it out that it was Resident Evil, like, did you find that daunting at all? Because, it's a series almost as old as me. Like it has a lot of history to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely there, that is the moment where you have to kind of sit back and be like, whoa, I'm gonna be in this franchise, but I never expected my character to be as big as she big as she is. LOL. So I think I was just so blissfully unaware of the potential of what this could mean for me,
Mhm.
and happy to be there, happy to be in the room at all, and just focusing on what was immediately in front of me. Certainly doing performance capture for the first time was daunting because that was a whole new skill set that I was developing.
Mhm.
So it was one of those moments where you walk into the volume on the first day and you're like, okay, I sure hope you can pull this off. Don't make a fool of yourself in front of all these amazing people. But at the same time, it was a new experience, but it felt very familiar in a weird way. There was something where you're in the volume for the first time and it just kind of, it all clicked in for me because it is this perfect blend between theater and on camera, both of which I have experience in. So I was able to kind of take my entire background and all of my experiences and skill sets and everything and mash it all together into one, which I found very exciting. I think the moral of the story is that I really love a challenge. So
Mhm.
all of these things that are kind of daunting and nerve-wracking and new actually just push me to keep moving forward. And that's what excites me. That's what lights me up. And that's what pushes me to do my best work and give it my all every single take. So I weirdly had a blast. I had a great time.
Now I'd be worried if you didn't. Like
Yeah.
it definitely, you can feel that behind your character. Absolutely. Um, and I know you said you didn't have a big history with the series, but um, Resident Evil is kind of known for having kind of campy, these iconic like one-liners, and I say this with like all the love of my heart, like sometimes kind of cringy like dialogue, and it really adds to the just the charm of the series, in my opinion. Did you know about that at all, like even maybe a bit further into filming your scenes?
No. No, I didn't, I wasn't really aware that that was what it was known for. I'm aware now, and which is really quite funny to me, but also funny because everything that Capcom gave me was gold. The writing is
Yeah,
amazing. I
yeah.
don't feel like that carried over into Village at all because she has such amazing lines. She has a fun way of using her language and using her words, which I think is really unique and part of what makes her so engaging and powerful. Um, yeah, I just think they knocked it out of the park with this one,
Yeah,
man.
they definitely did. Some like older games definitely feel like 80s action movies with like
Hmm.
Leon giving the like classic one-liners and stuff like this, but this game felt very grounded, and I feel like that was pretty much solely because of the characters. Like the characters felt very real, and
Yeah,
you guys brought them to life, and it was easy to get attached to the main character of Ethan, but also your character and Mother Miranda, and just kind of the whole atmosphere that the game
right.
brought on.
I think that's a trend that we're seeing generally in video games is that they're starting to move, they're starting to feel more like a movie because they're focusing on storytelling
Hmm.
now. And these cinematics that I'm watching, the trailers that are coming out now, I mean, my God, sometimes I watch them and I'm not sure if I'm watching live action or if I'm watching animation, which
Yeah.
is mind blowing. So what they're able to accomplish with games now is just outstanding. And I think that storytelling is becoming a focus. And one of the things that's so great about these characters is that they are not one dimensional. They are not just villains. So that's why you are able to find things about each and every one of them that pull you in and make you want to learn more,
Hmm.
which I think is really cool.
It I'm not trying to like just shower you in praise, but it's like it's 100% because of people like you who a big thing of this photorealism is the motion capture. Like it is, that is what has really brought characters and video games to light and made it more of that Hollywood-esque um uh type of production and way to tell a story. It's been a wild ride in the industry. um
Wild, right? The tech is advancing so quickly. Every day there's some new innovation that we're discovering, which is wild. And also why it's so cool to now be a part of this industry because the opportunities here seem to be endless and
mhm.
ever evolving, which is really exciting.
Yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, it was, if you were in video games, you're just a voice actor, like you're just
Mhm.
voicing the character. Whereas now it's like, no, you are the character, you're acting the character, you're in the scenes, you're doing all the staging and all the movement required. It's it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what's it kind of like to break into a role like this and just have that uh immediate, like, colossal community rally behind you? Like, I couldn't even imagine.
Pretty wild and totally, again, unexpected. I had no clue that this was going to happen. I really wasn't ever thinking about the outcome. I was just here to do my job and happy to be there. And then once she exploded, I was so dumbfounded and grateful and overwhelmed in all of the best ways possible. And it is so funny because I think my wonderful producer, Rosanna Sun at the Workhouse, she started to clue in pretty quick, where she would give me like the old wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, Maggie, I think your character is going to be pretty big. I think she's going to be a fan favorite. And I was always like, okay, sure, I guess. Who knows, whatever. I'm just happy to be here. And yeah, so then once she exploded, I had to send her an email that was like, you were right, you told me so, you win. Like, yeah. But it's been so wonderful. And again, like, all of the responses that I'm getting from people are so positive and so appreciative of my work as an actor, which is really special. I think what's different about this, my background is predominantly in theater and regional theater, so your audience reach there is actually quite small. You're just operating within your tiny little community, and it's very insular. And so once the show is done, it's done and you move on and you do the next show. Whereas this game, this character lives on. This will be with me for the rest of my life, which is pretty surreal. And it's also crazy to think about, like, this has changed my life. My life will no longer be the same after this game. I'm on a completely new path now, which is wonderful.
um Michelle kind of alluded to this fact of, before the game released and trailers were coming out, that Capcom kind of gave you guys an idea that the marketing of the game was going to be more geared towards your character and not so much like the final boss of her character. Did you know about that at all, or?
LOL, no. I
Yeah,
mean, I certainly saw that it was happening. I was like, this is so interesting. I'm like the face of Resident Evil right now. Um, but no, I never received any official wordage on that whatsoever.
was it kind of weird, like, going into that, and because your character, the way they market it, right, is that you're the big bad, like you're gonna be in the game the most, and then after about an hour or two, it's like, that's it. Like, does that feel weird? I feel like that'd be an odd experience to be the face of something but not be in it for all of it.
I don't know. I don't know if that feels too weird for me. I I trust Capcom implicitly, and so I
Mhm.
think probably what they've done is leaving the people wanting more. Too much of a good thing becomes bad. I don't know, something like that. So
Mhm.
I that's how I feel about that, you know?
Well, I mean, the marketing worked, right? Like,
The
they did
marketing worked.
they did their job.
Yeah. And then maybe it's nice that Mother Miranda remains this elusive, mysterious
Yeah,
figure that's still in shadow. So she's still a surprise as you're playing the game.
yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Her design is so stunning. She's such a cool character.
I remember getting to the end of the game, and like, she gets right in your face and it's just like, whoa, this is freaky. I just have one last question for you. I know your time is valuable, so uh and this is a little off script, so I apologize if it's a bit of a weird question, which I'm sure you've gotten a ton of, considering like the memes around your character. But um who do you think is the definitive hunky himbo of Resident Evil? Is it Chris or Ethan?
Himbo. Oh God. This is gonna betray me. I'd never heard that before. That makes me laugh. Himbo. Chris or Ethan. Do we ever see what Ethan looks like?
Technically not, but players have definitely figured out how to see his face in the game. It's definitely been unveiled in the community.
Cool. I don't know. I guess I kind of like a bad boy, so I'm gonna gravitate towards Chris probably. I love a villain, clearly. That's my answer. That's my himbo.
Perfect. That's the clip. That's the one we're putting on social media. I'm sorry.
There we go.
Well, thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem. It was my pleasure, truly. So it was
you.
such a delight talking with you, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing this character to the forefront and really helping sell this game, man.
Man, it's crazy. I think they're at 4 million copies sold or something like that now. Crazy number.
The
That's so wild.
the horror genre is hard, right, to sell, just because so many people are a bit hesitant to get into it. So 4 million copies really of any game is nothing to sneeze at.
Mm-hmm. Nothing to sneeze at. I love that. I'm going to start integrating that into my regular vernacular.
I want the royalties on that though.
Nothing to sneeze at. You don't own that.
I know, I definitely took it
You
from
don't own that.
someone more clever. But again, thank you so much, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. A pleasure.
All right, bye everyone.
Oh, bye everyone. Bye.